It's good to be with you again. It's always a joy. So we are kind of winding up our study on Christian worldview. By this time, I hope you have a basic understanding of our worldview. Last time we started worldview in conflict. That means everyone is not accepting Christian worldview. There are worldviews that are contrary to Christian worldview. This totally pagan worldview. So it's good just to evaluate some of the major worldview in contrast to our Christian worldview. You know, we are commanded to demolish the worldviews and philosophies of paganism, you know. We are very clearly commanded to demolish them. But to demolish them, we need to know what they are. In 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 4 through 6, very fundamental passage, we read very often that how the Lord had commanded that we should be pulling down every stronghold that is against the knowledge of Jesus Christ. And then we have to bring everything, you know, under the lens of our Christian worldview. We need to put the lens of Christian worldview and look at them. For that we have not only to demolish, but also we have to build up. This is, you know, this is a great job. This is not an easy job. Indian philosophy and religion boast, you know, much antiquity. The Vedas were written the same time probably the Pentateuch were written, 1500 BC. So they are very old and very philosophical, you know, Vedas, Upanishads, they are all very philosophical. Actually, speaking honestly, Hinduism is what a man could contribute from his side. That's the best. The best of man's contribution is Hinduism. It's a very thought-through philosophy.
Of all the philosophies. Of all the philosophies.
Of all the philosophies, Hinduism is. It has its own basic precepts and, you know, so it's very consistent as far as its philosophy is concerned. The basic problem is that every presumption upon which it is built is a false presumption. Therefore, it crumbles down if you analyze them. That's the problem. It is built upon the sand, but very beautifully built. It cannot stand against the torrential rains and the hurricanes and tornadoes. It cannot, that's the problem. Christianity is the only worldview that is built on the solid rock, the firm foundation of revelation, When any system is not based upon God's revelation, then it has to be based upon man's enlightenment. The question is, who enlightened man? They say that, it's a self-enlightenment through meditations and tapas and all those things, and then they reach God and find out some of the secrets of God. But the secrets of God cannot be found out by man. If they could be found out by man, then it's not any big secret at all, So God has to reveal them. That's unique about Christianity. The Hindu worldview and the Christian worldview are world apart. Indian worldview is humanistic, Vedic, empirical, and monistic and Advaitic, Every one of those statements has its own meaning, but that's what it is. It's basically, that's what it is. There are no absolutes in Indian worldview. God and man are essentially one. They are all one in a sense. Good and bad are relational. Maya is the concept of life. There is nothing absolute. Everything is relative. What is seen today and what is not seen tomorrow. That's the concept of Maya. Second, absolute. But Christianity teaches absolutes. Christian worldview is all entirely built upon absolutes of God and God's word. Swami Vivekananda propagated a worldview where all religious essences, basically is the same. Basically, he said all religion. The World Religious Congress held in Chicago, many years back, I don't remember exactly, it's in the 1800s. Swami Vivekananda spoke there, and he was one speaker who got a standing ovation and applause, because he presented, basically that all religions are same. It's only the color different. But that's far from the truth. Maybe all religions are same, but not Christianity. Christianity stands apart. It has nothing in common with. He said that to call man is the greatest sin. That's what he said. To call man a sinner is the greatest sin, because he sees God and man essentially of the same essence. If man is a sinner, then God is a sinner, because they are all monistic, Advaita, basically, in their philosophy. Christian worldview is based on revelation, the Bible. Christ is the incarnated model of the worldview. Apostle Paul is a prototype of the worldview. We mentioned that last week, We really wanted to see what worldview is like. Look at Jesus Christ. He came to this world as a human being. He was born in a very ordinary home. He knew what is poverty, what is hard labor. He worked as a daily wage earner or as a carpenter. His disciples were all fishermen. Not necessarily they were poor people. Many of them were rich people. But however, they were all fishermen, And he knew. He was always associated with basically poor people. He knew what was hunger and thirst and all. But yet, how did he live? He maintained a Christian worldview concerning riches, concerning people, concerning marriage, family, concerning, authority and everything. Jesus Christ has spoken on basically every issue that we need to face, and he has presented a Christian worldview. What he has shown is that consistently you can live according to the Christian worldview. If Christ could live in that world and time, consistently holding those values, we could. The Apostle Paul is a prototype, the first product made from that, type. He was, a perfect model. He had traveled far and wide all the Roman Empire. He has again faced every situations, He was acquainted with authorities. He was acquainted with ordinary people. And yet, as Paul himself has said that, he knew how to be, abound and abased, how to be in plenty and in need, and every situation he knew. He could stay in a 7-star hotel, or he could stay in a, tattugada, eat from a tattugada. He knew both. But yet he never compromised on his worldview. That's very interesting. Never compromised. Paul consistently held the worldview Jesus Christ has. His view on the riches and property, riches on present life, marriage, family, authority, governments and everything. Consistently, Jesus Christ, whatever he taught, this Paul also upheld. In the last 1.5 century, we see a serious drift in the Christian worldview. Our Christian foundations are slowly, overlooked by our philosophers and apologists. We are no more preaching Matthew 6:33. We live like the Gentiles, seeking the things of this world and putting God at the end. Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God. The priority for the early Christians, first century Christians, even the anti-Nicene and the post-Nicene Christians, was the kingdom of God. That's why the kingdom of God, the church spread, missions work flourished, Every known world in the Roman Empire became a Christian world, There was no country in the Roman Empire which was still pagan, And they were able to. How could they do it? They didn't have mission boats to send them. They didn't have missionary aviation fellowship to fly them. They didn't have printing press to print the Bible or the tract societies. They didn't have a missionary board to interview them, train them, send them, finance them. But yet they have done it. The reason is they consistently held on to the Christian worldview. Their priority was right. Their priority was right. Today, we are living in a world where people say that, wrongly they teach people. Like for example, tent making, the concept of tent making. Many people say that, the best way of working for the Lord is being a tent maker. But is that right? Was Paul working for somebody? Was Paul needed ever to apply for a leave to go to the next city? No, Paul was his own man. What the tent makers today? Tent makers are working for somebody, they cannot move anywhere, they have to get up on casually, they have to Paul went wherever they want, So tent making of Apostles Paul and today's tent making are absolutely nothing in common, but it is used as a excuse, Paul and Timothy, yes, they made tent wherever they went. You ask Paul, what's your job? He will say, I'm a preacher, I'm an apostle. If you ask them, what do you do for your livelihood? Say the Lord supplies. When it is not sufficient, we make some tents and sell it also. But you talk to today's tent makers, ask them, what do you do? They will say, I'm a doctor, or I'm a teacher, I'm a lawyer, whatever may be, They may be an elder in the church, but they will never say, what do you do? I'm an elder, So, self-defeating and, in a sense, self-cheating, actually, So the worldview the early Christians had is quite different from today's. The priority is totally different. So it is, people are, actually cheating themselves. They're deceiving themselves by saying all those things. Yet many organizations, parachurch organizations will exalt this tent making as the model, if they are only honest to themselves, which of them is doing tent making like Paul did? Who is able to go anywhere in the world, at the commandment of the Lord, just move, pick up and move. Not one of them. So Christians are commanded or stated to be the salt and the light of the world, Matthew 5:13-14. We are to influence the society by our values. But today again, look, people get involved in politics and all that, and civil services, many people are going for IAS, and I have no problem for believers going for IAS or administrative service, civil service and all, I'm not saying. But the thing is, they all will be quoting either Daniel or Shadrach or Meshach or or Mordecai or Joseph or Nehemiah. Nehemiah was a governor. But the interesting thing is, when Daniel was a civil service, who was controlling him in the empire, What was Daniel doing? How many times King Nebuchadnezzar confessed the God of Daniel is the true God. Anyone who speaks a word against Daniel's God will be cut into pieces, So what those men were doing, Today's civil servants, they absolutely cannot do anything, They cannot do anything. Only on some casual leave or earned leave they can take and do something, and other than that, they cannot influence. Whatever things are going, they themselves may maintain the integrity. I don't question the integrity of their life, but they cannot influence. They cannot correct a minister, they cannot correct, nothing, that cannot. So, we often defeat ourselves, we are the salt and the light. Salt is to influence, to taste. Light is to reveal, to expose, We are not necessarily exposing or tasting the society. Because there is a Christian worker in a big company, as maybe even the general manager of the company, does that mean that there is prayer meeting, every day? The company starts with prayer meeting, or maybe, during the lunch break there is half an hour Bible study, or, what is happening? There's nothing happening. You cannot do anything, actually. Honestly, you cannot do anything. This is all we are saying, because we take some of these statements of the Bible and we don't translate them into actually into our practical life, they are theirs. What we maximum do is we maintain the integrity. We may not take bribery, we may not compromise. That's great. I think that's great. But other than that, we cannot influence the society very much. Very little we can influence the society. There are few, but I'm not saying, but generally. So,
What do you mean by we cannot influence the society?
well, suppose that you are the education secretary of education in Maharashtra. How much influence you will be doing that every worker should be paid decently in private schools? And every employee must be given time for family life, their working hours. Everything has to be honestly done. There will be no bribery, there will be no coercion, there will be no fraud. Very few. You can live an exemplary life basically, but other than that, what the minister, a pagan, and what the political party he represents, their policies will be carried out. Like Daniel or Nehemiah or, Mordecai, that sort of an influence, because there they were living under one man basically, If that one man liked them, they liked them. But here it's not. It's a political party and it's entirely different. Of course, you can try to. You can try to, yes, but that's best you could. There are many IAS officers who are born again believers, baptized, Yes, but I don't know how much of an impact they have made. How much of an impact, because from the day they came to the service, what differences were made from the time before? That's a question we have to. So, we can pray for and all that. So basically what I say is we can work as an honest worker. We can work as an honest worker. And maybe we can show an example to other people, what we need to be. But how much that example will be accepted today, I know a brother who was a joint registrar in the registrar's office, Most of the time he has to ask for a transfer to a department where he doesn't have to deal with people. So most of the time he was an auditor of the cooperative banks or this and that, that sort of thing. In the registration department he was not allowed because everybody under him was taking bribery, and they all told that, but you don't want money, don't interfere. Otherwise, And, he was supposed to do things for the minister and everything. A share has to go there. So if he refused to do that, even if he doesn't want it, that share has to be given there. So he himself always requests to give me a transfer to a place where I don't have to deal with human beings. Everybody knew that he is honest, very honest. Everybody will say, oh, he's a very honest man. But what could he do? What could he do?
What such people should have done?
Well, they have done what they could. They could not basically do very much to change the system. The system is corrupt. Even a top officer, a very clean minister coming, he cannot change. He cannot change. The ministers, first term somehow he will manage, but the second term he start taking, or his people will taking bribery and all that. The pressures of the society is like that. The society is tuned to do anything, And that's a problem. You go anywhere, you wanted to get your things done, you have to pay something. If you don't want to pay, you don't have to, but then your thing will not be done. It will take many, many months or weeks, and people are not willing or patient to do that because your time is also precious, and maybe you need this certificate for your child to give to the college for exam, and you cannot let 1 year suffer and all those. So what will you do? Ultimately then you go and get it. This is the sort of things that is happening, It's much more easier for anybody to say that, okay, you should have let your child 1 year go. It's easy, but it's not very easy to be doing that way because nobody wants to see their child's 1 year. In year go. This is a sort of system, there is a system that is perishing, that's a bad system.
I was told that in one electricity office, there was a believer who was the head of the office. And in that particular circle, that was the only one office which was, doing reasonably well as compared to other offices. And the reason was the person who was heading it.
Yes.
So maybe he didn't make an impact. Maybe whatever was due to the government, he strictly enforced that there is no proliferation of.
Yeah, we could do definitely some things. You could do definitely something, Yes. If the top officer is somebody, he can. But suppose you are a lower employee, what could you do? Even the top officer can do, but he may frequently be transferred. Yes. Especially if you are a senior officer and all, what the ministers will ask you to do, you can refuse to do, but then you have to. Yes. Yeah, this is the problem. Yeah. So this sort of things are there, The problem is also that not only we don't have a Christian worldview, we don't have a Christian lifestyle also. The worldview and lifestyle go together, You look at the Muslims. I don't like the Muslims, to be honest. But one thing I admire about them is that wherever you go in all the world, they have a lifestyle that is Islamic. That we have it. It's not very difficult to find out who is a Muslim. If there is a Muslim, you will find. Yeah. And they have. It's not only in dress, everything. It's in their, in their. Basically, everything they do. They are Islamic. Yes. And the Hindus have a Hinduistic culture. The Buddhists and Jains, both, everybody has. I think the Christians are the only people, wherever they are, they have a tendency of, adopting the lifestyle of the people. This is the Christians. But the Christians are supposed to be separatist, because we are commanded to be distinct people. We are commanded to be holy and separated. But yet we do that. Wherever people are, they are, whatever style they are living, we live, It's true, Bible does not prescribe a particular dress for Christians and particular food for Christians and all, I admit that. But does it mean that we can adopt anything and everything the world will do? No, we cannot. We are, So we are not demolishing the strong philosophy, secular philosophies of the world, nor are we building up strong Christian bulwarks. We are not doing both. In Acts chapter 17, Paul was speaking at Athens, and he presented the gospel to the Athenians who held a different worldview. But you read through that chapter, you can see how Paul has taken apart the very arguments of the people of Athens. Their worldview was taken into apart. He started with a common point of reference to begin his systematic attack against the worldview, the unknown God. He said, I want to talk to you about the unknown God. And then, whatever they believed about, the Athenians, every one of them piece by piece. Ajit Fernando has a book on Paul's sermon on Acts chapter 17, Worldviews. I think that's the name of the book. It's an excellent treatment of it, Probably. World religions, maybe that's Ajit Fernando, yeah. No, all his books are good books actually, but this book is an excellent one, If you can get, it's not very big, maybe some 200 pages, 150 pages maybe, but it's an excellent treatment. In that book he shows how the word, how Paul has attacked the Athenian worldviews and taken them apart, piece by piece, piece by piece. He has. Their concept of God, concept of man, concept of worship, concept of, life, concept of life after everything he has taken apart and shown them you are foolish, logically and scripturally. And then finally came and put that bomb there, said that there is a day when everything will be judged according to my gospel through Jesus Christ, Yes. So, Paul did it. We could do that. There are basically three worldviews about which all Christians need to know. Because they are the antagonistics to Christian worldviews. They are the three more developed worldviews. Some Christian thinkers objected to exposing Christians to false views as they think it is unnecessary to have an exposure to what is false. We only need to know the right thing. We automatically will identify the false one if we know the right thing. That is true. But Colossians 2:8 and 2 Corinthians 10, 3-5 emphasizes not only knowing our worldview, but also need to know how to demolish the wrong worldviews. Pulling down the strongholds of Satan. How can you pull down the strongholds of Satan unless you know which are the strongholds of Satan, Sometimes, we don't know, Satan's strongholds are right in our backyard, we may not know, Because the Lord himself said that the Lord said, I will build my church and the towers of Satan, how is it, Matthew 16:18? The gates of Hades. The gates of Hades. In Malayalam it is not gates, Padala Gopurangal, the towers of Hades shall not overcome, So Satan is really building the towers. Yes. And most every religion, even Christian religions have these big pinnacles, towers, and Islam has these. They all have the idea of, building up. It's easier to pray to God if, you put the loudspeaker up there and, I don't know why Christians have to build it up there, Muslims, of course, their concept is wherever the sound of prayer goes, that area is Islamic. That's it. So they build, their mosque close by so that they can claim all. That's there, Prarthana Shabdam Kelkunna Sthalam Ellam Islamindia. That's there. That's their idea. So, one Muslim comes immediately, more people come, and very soon the mosque will come, and very soon another mosque will come, Just like in Arabia, all that you will see, there are these minars, the strong, the minars, that's what they want to see. And from these minars, the sound of Allahu should go. Well,
Is it there in all the countries, all the Muslim countries?
All the Muslim countries, except in countries like America, America, they can build it, but they cannot, put the loudspeaker there and pray. No, nobody can trouble public. No. Yeah. Even the Roman Catholics won't have idols by the roadside or anything. They can have it in their church building and all that.
Within the premise.
Within the premises. Yeah. Yes. Colossians 2:8 says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. So we need to beware of those things. What are after the rudiments of the world? What are after the traditions of men? 2 Corinthians, of course, we said it many times, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalt itself against the knowledge of God, and bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. So there are three worldviews. The first one is the Marxist-Leninist worldview. The Marxist-Leninist worldview. We already talked about it in different sections, about economics and other sections we said, but I think we need to point out few more things. Marxism is a well-developed atheistic worldview. It's a well-developed atheistic worldview. Marxists have developed a perspective on each of the 10 disciplines we have covered. Marxists have developed their worldview in depth and have become models for the whole atheistic world. I.P. Pavlov is the outstanding Marxian psychologist in the world. T.D. Lysenko, a leading biologist,